What's kind of clicked for you over these last couple of weeks is that you've obviously had a lot of responsibility doing the hitting and the pitching. Just what's kind of really come together lately?
At the plate, especially, just trying to have a lot of discipline in my bats. Pitchers are starting to throw me, a lot more like backwards pitching, starting off with breaking balls and stuff. Almost like I compare it to like how they pitch to Stewie sometimes. So really, that's a big thing going forward is having patience at the plate. Just trying to attack in everything I do. As far as pitching, like want to throw a lot of strikes, want to go after people. I want to do the same thing when I hit. Just get a good pitch and put a good swing on it.
Just offensively, how did it kind of come together for you this year? I mean, obviously, at the beginning of the year, you weren't really in the lineup all the time. How'd you manage just to work your way into it? How'd you kind of keep yourself focused while you were just, getting the occasional at bat? And just how did it come about that you got to be an everyday guy and got used to that?
Just had to keep at it. Keep trying to take good swings in BP. Work hard in the cages, and then hopefully that would transfer over to the game. I got a chance at UC Irvine. I got to start in that game. Unfortunately, I hurt myself running the bases. So, but after that, got to start at Florida. Had a good game, and just from there, just been fortunate to have good at bats. Take good swings. So it's built on from that, and just moving forward, gonna keep trying to do the same thing.
Obviously, you had the Tommy John surgery. I mean, coming in, did you expect to be in this kind of role? Did you think about being able to go to play both ways? What's sort of the process been just to get you here in that regard?
Well, that was originally one of the big reasons I wanted to come to Tennessee was they were going to offer me a chance to try and do both as a pitcher and a hitter. And then, of course, with having surgery, it kind of forced my hand to be a hitter at first. So my freshman year, that was exclusively what I did was DH and first base. And I mean, it was a good thing. And then last year, with being able to pitch, it was almost like having a part of your game back, being able to get on the mound. So juggling between those, it's just been a fun experience, and you kind of try to get the best of both worlds out of it.
Do you think would you be able to do both now if you had to, if you were pitching at the beginning? I guess did that kind of first year allow you develop a lot as a hitter? I guess to sort of bring both things even. I guess
it was a big thing just trying to learn the breaks of the game. It speeds up so much from high school to college. And it was kind of beneficial, I guess, that I had to focus on one more than two because it might have been even more of a struggle doing both at the same time. So I guess in some ways it did help me out a lot.
Just how long did it take you to just feel like yourself again as a pitcher? I mean, obviously Tommy John's more advanced than it used to be, but how long did it kind of take you to feel good on the mound again?
I had surgery in June of 2012, and I think the first time I threw again was in June of 2013 when I was playing summer ball out in California. So going out and then, and even in those first couple outings, I didn't throw any breaking balls. It was all fastball changeup. And then moving on from there, I guess really when I felt myself again was I had a couple starts that summer and started to feel normal again. And then when I got back to Tennessee in the fall of last year was when I really started to feel normal again on the mound.
How do you like the closer role? I mean, do you feel like that's kind of where you belong, is just going out there and letting loose for an inning?
Well, it's fun. You keep your foot on the gas the whole time you're in, as opposed to being a pitcher. You have to pick and choose your spots when you want to really gas up on people. So it's fun as a closer. You get out there, it's a high adrenaline thing, and I just try to go out there and go after people. And it's a little bit different than starting. There's a little bit less of a chess game going on. So I like that about it. But I mean, it's just a role I try to fill on the team. We've got great starters, and so we had a spot open at the back of the bullpen, and that's what I'm trying to fill in for.
How are you trying to evolve as a pitcher? I think Coach Serrano just said that you're trying to be able to go more to that breaking ball more, not necessarily just try to overpower guys. How are you just trying to evolve in that way? Where do you think you got to get better there?
That's the biggest thing. Working on consistency with the breaking ball. I've had a good breaking ball in the past, but I always haven't been able to put it where I want it, or be consistent with it, and that's the biggest thing. Still working on moving forward. My curveball has developed a lot, and just trying to work on the changeup too right now, because the fastball has always been the best pitch for me. So continue to work on that, but definitely try to get better in the breaking ball and the changeup.
Do you feel like 3 pitches is enough for you? I guess especially in that role.
Oh, especially in the closing role. I'm not gonna say you could do it with 1 pitch, but definitely having 3 would make it that much harder to hit.
What's the juggling like as far as what is your average day like in practice? How do you kind of make sure that everything's still sharp?
Well, the coaches help out a lot with that. Especially like we'll be taking BP, so the pitchers don't do as much. They throw bullpens and shag. So during BP, I mainly focus on hitting. Maybe throw an occasional bullpen during batting practice, but then like during fielding practice, I'll go to first base, be there for a while, and say we're doing like PFPs, which is pitcher's fielding practice. I'll take like 3 or 4 reps at first base, then hop in the pitcher's line, take a couple there. So it's mainly just flipping around, and the coaches help out a lot with that. They'll set up different things in practice. We're like, hey, you can just focus on the field right here. Hey, you go with the pitchers in this group and work on that.
What I guess how hard is it just to keep the defensive part of it together? I guess, I mean, obviously you're putting a lot of time into hitting, a lot of time into pitching. I think that's maybe the one part that gets lost, or could get lost. I mean, how important is it just to make sure you're fielding your position, both positions as well? And
that's one thing I struggled with a lot last year. I wasn't a consistent fielder, and Coach Bergeron got on me a lot about that. And that was one thing I tried to work on all summer. And Cape Cod was my fielding at first base. And that's something you almost have to separate it from everything else. Hitting, keep it in its place, pitching, keep it in its place. And you want to separate everything and just focus on fielding when you're in the field. So that's the thing I try to do the most, is just separate all the aspects of the game and focus on the one thing that I'm doing at that point.
What did you do in the Cape, this past summer? I mean, how did they handle you? Did you do a little bit of both there, or what was sort of, what did they do with you position-wise?
Did a little bit of both. It started out, first day we went out to take BP, and the coach was like, "Are you sure you're a hitter?" I was like, "Yeah, I promised, I hit," because they thought I just pitched originally. So I went out there and hit, and then one of our first basemen got hurt. He took a ball off the face. So I went in and played and had a good game, and after that, it just kind of took off. Had a few good at-bats in a row, and then just got to play a lot more first base. So I mixed that in with starting on the mound as well.
Have you, Coach Serrano was talking about this, about how this projects for you for the next level. Where do you think you belong going forward?
Honestly, I have no idea. Originally, I would always say on the mound, that's my best potential. But I've hit really well this season, so I guess it's up to the team. They decide what they think my future would be best in, and I'm just trying to give my best at both spots.
Right. What do you think your next step has to be as a hitter? I mean, like you said, you're going to see more. People aren't going to mess with you as much. They're going to throw you more breakaway stuff. I guess, but just in general, where do you feel like you want to evolve? Power-wise, all that sort of thing. Where do you feel like your next step is?
I feel like the biggest thing is patience at the plate. Being able to pick out good pitches to hit, and that's something I have to work on now. And then continue to develop the power aspect of the game. Continue to work hard in the weight room, and just mainly focus on putting good swings on good pitches. Just find good pitches to hit and keep a solid swing on that.
Okay.